Good morning, all. Glad that you could join us. Thank you very much. And I hope that you find this informative. I know that over the last couple of weeks, I've had a good couple of queries on the under-counter geysers. And yeah, so the under-counter geyser is the little baby brother of the big guys that are up in the roof. Yet we think that the installation is the same, and it's completely different. So let me run you through this so that you all understand. And now the most important thing with the under-counter geyser is that it will be, well, it shall be installed in terms of SANS 10254. That is the most important. It's still a geyser. It's not a pressurized geyser, but it still falls under SANS 10254. So all those rules and regulations have to be adhered to. So let's not make the mistake and think that it doesn't fall under any SANS. It's very clear that it will fall under SANS 10254. And it's also tested in SANS 151 for a geyser. Typically, what we're looking at, the under-counter geysers, they look like this. You have your cold in and you have your hot out, and they fit under the counter. On the front panel, you will see is the on-off button. So when it's on, the red light glows. When it's off, it doesn't glow. You also find a dial there for your water heat. So that's typically your thermostat that sets the temperature that you want. And it's a plastic cover, and it's also encased in foam. I'll show you some slides just now. And so this is what it looks like. Typically a drawing, the back, as you can see over here, is elegant, has a slight slant to it. If you're connecting it to a wall, then you drill the holes and the brackets fit in on the back there. And these are the nice measurements. The gap between the wall and the cold and hot water inlets are a nice distance away from the wall. That makes it easy to work with. A lot of chaps also, if it's on the bottom of a sink or a basin, you just put it flat. Now, there are well, there's two types of installations, the above counter and the below counter. We're talking about the below counter. This is the most or more common one. So the storage tank below, it's the point of use. It's generally only a mixer is used. Does not have it does have a non-return valve. Very important. On the cold water of the geyser, you must install a spring-loaded non-return valve, and the manufacturers in the installation instructions will show that, and I'll show you that to you just now. It has no vacuum breakers. So, and I'll show you that as well. So essentially what we have, it's a very easy installation, gentlemen and ladies. It really is uncomplicated. The most complicated part is the mixer side of it. The mixer side of it is very technical inside the space, but essentially the open vented mixer will have three connections to it. The cold water connection gets connected to the angle valve in the wall. The hot water of the mixer gets connected to the cold water inlet of the under-counter geyser. And the middle pipe gets connected to the hot water. And I'll show you just now how it works. But so that's very simple. The open vented mixer has three connections to it. Again, the cold water gets connected to the angle valve. The hot water of the mixer gets connected to the cold water inlet of the geyser, and the middle pipe gets connected to the hot water out. So how does this mixer work? Remember, you can only use the open vented mixer for this. So a little bit of a technical. You can see the drawing at the bottom here. And if you follow the arrows, it's very simple. On the right-hand side, we have the cold water coming in, and it's live to the head part of the hot water, and it's live to the head part of the cold water. So if you want cold water only, you turn the tap on and water will flow. The head releases the water and it will flow in the normal way through the spout. You close that. If you want hot water, now this is where the interesting part comes in. When you open the hot water, the head part releases off the side. The water flows in, it flows down. So remember, the hot water pipe connection of the mixer is connected to the cold water of the geyser. So the water is flowing in, going past the hot water head part, the washer, and it is pushing it down into the geyser. It's pushing it. That's why it's called a push through. So it's pushing it down into the cold water, and therefore the hot water is now being released through the middle, and it's pushing it up through the spout. So if you want to blend your water, you open your cold water on the right, the cold water comes in, and where it joins the spout, you now blend your water, and you get blended water coming out the spout. So this is a very good diagram, and maybe keep a copy of it so that you can explain to your customers as well. So remember, the head parts are closed, the water's live. It's been stopped by the washers. You open the cold water, it flows. You open the hot water, it flows up and back down into the geyser, therefore pushing the hot water out. Now, very, very important is once you've installed one of these, please speak to your customer and even have their domestics or whoever, if it's even an office block or whoever the people are that handle the washing of the dishes or cleaning of the kitchen, and explain to them that once they've used hot water, when that little geyser down below starts heating up, where the red arrow is, water is going to push up and is going to drip through there. They must not try and tighten. In this case, this would be, for example, a quick hot tap because they have this configuration. Do not try and tighten it. It's not faulty. That is what it's designed to do. That is the expansion taking place. That is where the expansion takes place. That's why it drips. When the geyser has heated up and the water is warm again, it will stop. So it's not faulty. Explain that to them. Now, with these taps, Quick-Hot used to have a mixer, and then Hans Grohe brought out a single lever mixer, and now recently, as of last week, Grohe have brought out 2 mixers. Also a pillar type with a straight spout, and then a gooseneck style. So there's 4 types of mixers that I know of on the market, and so the customer can choose now from an aesthetics point of view which one they want. You're not limited anymore. So please, it's very important that we understand the workings of this and that you explain to the customer, because I promise you, you are going to get a call that this brand new tap you've installed is faulty. It's not, sorry, it's not faulty. So just to show you here again, the cold water connected to the angle valve. This green one, sorry, the red one is from the mixer, is connected to the cold water of the geyser, and the green one is the middle pipe that's connected to the hot water. So the water flows through there, comes down into here, and pushes out through to there. So yeah, I hope everyone gets that. Here again, this is just how to blend, which I've explained it. This is a different way of explaining it. Cold water in, pushes through here, and the hot water comes up, and the cold water mixes around here somewhere, and you get your blended water. Remember, SANS 10254, you need a drip tray. It has to fit into a drip tray. So if you're in an office block, I've seen these before where the drip tray is connected straight into the waste stack. You cannot do that. Remember, the drip tray, the regulation is that the drip tray outlet shall exit the building separately. So it has to, you have to find a way to get that out. And that, so you need to be clear and sure where you're going to install this basin. You may not install it directly underneath the sink. It may be a little bit away, specifically if you can, because you have to find a way for the drip tray outlet to discharge separately out of the building. Remember, if you're using a galvanized tray, again, the regulation states that you'll have 2 layers of a bituminous substance painted over it to give it that waterproofing. Very important. So, and remember, the drip tray outlet pipe must always have a fall on it, the correct fall, because if it doesn't, this water can overflow and then cause all sorts of trouble. Now, this is a letter from Electrolux, and it very clearly states that this geyser has been tested and is in compliant with the relevant SANS 151 and the SANS 60335-2-21. But the main thing is that this geyser is not connected as a pressure geyser. Please remember that. This is a letter from Electrolux stating that this geyser will be installed as a push-through geyser. So the other thing is you also need to follow the manufacturer's installation procedures, requirements. And Electrolux very clearly states here, the cold water supply connection between the control valve and the water heater should be furnished with a spring-loaded non-return valve. So on both the Heatec and on the Electrolux, on the cold water, you install a spring-loaded non-return valve. And the letter further on goes on to say point of use water heaters, 10 liter, 15 and 30 liters. There seems to be conflicting information with regards to the installation of the Ariston Heatec point of water heaters. Their products have been tested according to SANS, and it says here, as per SANS 151, these units are classified as an open outlet type water heater and must be installed accordingly. So please, gentlemen, if you install it in any other way, you void the warranty. It's very, very clear here, this letter. The HETEC letter is virtually the same as the Electrolux, sorry, as the Electrolux one. So there are two letters that finally, from the manufacturers, that spell out that these two will be installed as a push through and not as a pressurized vessel. So where would you install these under-counter geysers? Remember, you put them in factories or canteens, office spaces, anywhere where you have a single point. Remember, you can only one geyser, one mixer, one geyser, one tap. That's it. You cannot connect it to 2 or 3 basins or sinks. It's one geyser, one basin, one geyser, one sink. That's it. It's one and one. So, and also specifically where you have isolated points with long dead legs, that's also very important. You can avoid having those dead legs by placing it closer to the end point. And also points that require hot water often. So what I did was I took a push through and I took all the foam off the side of it and I cut it open so that you can have a look. So you see the water comes, the cold water gets pushed right down to the bottom. It's got little holes like a diffuser, like a Big Brother, but just a lot smaller. And that is the vessel there. And so the cold water comes in and it gets pushed through the hot water. Here is the element. That's what the element looks like. And the thermostat fits into that sheet there. And on the outside, the thermostat is, you can control it. You turn it with a hand. And it's very simple inside. That's what it looks like inside. Water comes in, it's pushed through down there, through the hole so it doesn't churn all the sediment, and up it goes. Now, very important, I've seen lots of installations, all sorts of kinds, but this is just one installation to show you how not to install it. So if you've been installing it this way, gentlemen, it's wrong. As per the letters of the two manufacturers, it's very important to note that for installation of an open outlet push-through system, remember, push-through system, you must install it that way. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, this little fitting that you see over here, the HETEC are very specific, and it says here, it is clearly indicated that this valve is only required for the European market and nowhere referred to in the installation instructions for the South African market. So I know that you open up the box and you take it out and you see this thing and you install it on cold. Please, HETEC are very specific. Do not install this. It says for European market only. Spring-loaded, non-return valves. So how not to install an under-counter geyser? First of all, where's the drip tray? So you can imagine if this pops a hole and it starts leaking, it's a Friday, it's in an office, Monday morning they come back, it's all new cupboards. You can't even, I don't even know how you get in there. Remember, the same thing on SANS 10254, the connections to the hot and the cold water must be with compression fittings, so that if you need to disconnect it, it's easy to disconnect and pull out. Not with capillary fittings where you got to cut the pipe. That's not ease of maintenance. No drip tray here. Must have a drip tray. It will fail. This is a beaut. So you've got that fitting, you've got vacuum breakers, and you've got your PCV, your multi-block, and then the discharge pipe. So now, a lot of times people say, yeah, but the price of the mixer, you know, the mixers are not expensive. They're in the region of somewhere between 1,400, 1,600 rand, somewhere around there. In fact, I don't even know the grower prices of their new mixers that they've just launched now. However, if you take the price of the multi-block, you take the price of the discharge pipe and of the vacuum breakers and the copper piping that you're using and the solder and the flux and the labor, you're pretty much at the price of the mixer. So the pricing is not an issue. And then also, this is in a kitchen, and there's no drip tray. And even if there was, I don't know where they would discharge it to, because it's flat on the floor. So when you want to disconnect this because it's popped and you want to replace it, how on earth are you going to do this? You're going to have to cut the piping. So this is a complete fail. It's just not right. Then the discharge of the PRV, I mean, that's even worse. So this fails, the water gets discharged into the waste system, but you can't see it. You don't know if it's dripping or running. In a few months' time, you get a nice fat water bill, and you cannot work out where it is, until eventually, somewhere along the line, someone checks this and realizes, but the water is just running out of here because it's faulty. So, yeah. And that under-counter geyser was supplying 2 of these basins, regular mixers, and it was connected to the sink. So it had 3 terminal fittings that it was connected to, instead of only 1. And they are the incorrect ones anyway. Here's another one. Installed. At least he got that right. But vacuum breakers horizontal. Yeah. So please, guys, this is not how you install. And also, what is important to note, gentlemen, it is a SANS 10254 requirement that you shall also issue a COC for this installation. The same applies to as the big geyser. You shall supply a COC for this. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day, and I hope everyone has a really good, busy day.